Hey, what's up, you guys? This is OccultCatTv / Cool Cat. I'm your host, O'Shea. As well, you can call me Atanu, whatever you like. So today, since I was getting into subscriber questions, and a lot had to do with the Qliphoth and how you path work, and I've been seeing that some people to my channel are new, and they either haven't initiated or just initiated. In a sense, this is the video for you if you haven't initiated or you're just initiating. And then as well, if you're more experienced or tuned, I will be making more content pertaining to this to more advanced practitioners, as well as be putting content on my Patreon. So let's get into the video. So a sphere. Throughout the Qliphoth, there's different spheres that create it and make it up. As I said in earlier videos, in a sense that when you are working it, it's circuitry. So when you work it, you are putting your own circuitry online. You're bringing it online, putting it in alignment. And then as you start to walk this current of energy, in a sense you walk the tree, you go from a normal, mundane, muggle-like consciousness to now being evolved through dark matter. So the way that we open a sphere, it's not like the Sephiroth. It's not through your intention that you're opening it. No, the Qliphoth is different. You have to make agreements, in a sense. You have to show that this is what you desire. That's why not everybody either working with Qliphoth or in the Qliphoth gets the full benefits, because they're not doing the path working. Why is Andromelech, Asmodee, Lucifer, why are they associated with the different spheres within the Qliphoth? It's because they hold this power. This is their power. Thamael, Lucifer, or Samael, however you view it. This is Lucifer's throne. So in a sense, when we work with, say, Thamael, when you get that far, we're opening up ourselves to Lucifer's energy fully. Because when you look at it, you're not able to see a being for what it truly is when you're first attuning your perception. So this is why the more that you attune your perception throughout the tree of the Qliphoth, you start to path work. This is when you start to uncover your reality, whether it be your perception and the way that you perceive reality, or the way that you are seeing reality and how it is drawn to you. Because what the Qliphoth is doing is destroying your soul. It's destroying your psyche, or the aspects of it that are no longer catering to you. It is a mechanism that, as a magician, as we've reincarnated many times and we've came back into this life, this is a system that we were thrown at. And it's in this system that we regain ourselves. We regain who we are. We know who we are. Because as I started to enter into the Qliphoth and work with these different spheres, I started to actually regain myself, past lives. We're not able to understand past lives or go into them without uncovering, without using the Qliphoth and using it to uncover ourselves. Right? So this is why it destroys us. It destroys our psyche, and it destroys the persona in which we believe ourselves to be, the ego. And as it dissolves the psyche, or dissolves the ego, this allows us to perceive things that are... This allows us to transcend our ego and perceive everything in the all, because we no longer hold ourselves into the ego. We're no longer limited by this programming. The ego is as well. Every time we incarnate, we are put back into a body. The body is what has the ego. The ego is ball and chained to the body. So this is why it limits us in what we're trying to express, what we are trying to be, our self-expression. This is why we go back to so many addictions or things that didn't really cater to us. It's because we want to be comfortable. We want to feel comfortable. So that as you're working through this matrix, through the Qliphoth, what it's doing is stripping away all the things that you thought were comfortable, that made you comfortable. This is as well, when we start to initiate and enter into the Qliphoth, we are stripped away of everything, maybe relationships, friendships, how we used to perceive reality. All of this is a tool and a mechanism for our growth, for our evolution. This is why you chose to go into the Qliphoth, whether you know it or not. Before entering into the Qliphoth, myself, I was just pretty much a normal person. I played video games, I hung out with my friends, but I was at the same time I was reading a lot about books, a lot about philosophy, I was meditating a lot, I was going into metaphysics and trying to understand reality. And then it wasn't until I was brought into the Qliphoth that I realized I was looking at life for an illusion. Everything was illusory. And that when I got into the Qliphoth, that was truth. Because the moment I started to work with the Qliphoth, I actually was taken out of my mundane reality. At this point, I'd stopped playing video games. I'd stopped doing a lot of things that weren't benefiting me. I was pretty much a monk and meditating, going about more of a shamanic path. But what the Qliphoth did at a faster rate was remove and dissolve and destroy all those illusions. Because when you work with a being such as Marbas, Marbas can teach you 20 years of knowledge in one invocation, or in a sense overnight, what it says in the grimoire. I can definitely lay a testament to this, because when I invoked him, I started to just think differently. Not like outside of myself, but there were thoughts that I knew were there that I could have thought. But what this energy in the goetia, Marbas, allowed me to do was to collect that understanding at a faster rate. So this is why when we work with demons, while we go into the Qliphoth, our life is actually put on an overhaul, an overdrive. We're being brought into past life experiences. We're seeing our future. We're trying to understand and uncover ourselves, know what we're going through. All of these things are happening while we're in the Qliphoth. And there's so much of this initiation and these trials that happen as we're initiating through each sphere. So the way that you actually initiate through the sphere is you're going to go into ritual. You're going to raise a sacred space. You can use Lapaka, a being of Astaroth or Astarte, and using Lapaka, you can chant her name or vibrate her name like Lepoko. And then you do that, you raise your room into a sacred space, right? You have your circle of either crystals, maybe a mat that has a circle on it. I used bondage rope for my for my invocations when I first started. And then what you're gonna do is have that circle, sit in that circle, or sit in the sacred space if you've raised the sacred space. And this is the traditional way to do it that will benefit you. Is it the way I did it originally? No. But do I recommend it? Most definitely. So you get a triangle, or you get 3 pieces of smoky quartz. And then you put that in a triangle of manifestation, right? And then you either have a sigil of the sphere that you're trying to open, such as like Lilith, Thamael, Gob Shabla, whatever it might be, right? And that as you have that symbol, that sigil, I recommend having a sigil of the deity either on you, or you can place it within the triangle with that, just symbolizing these energies manifested together, so amplifying it. But as well, you can have it on you, symbolizing, like, say if you wear Lucifer's sigil in invocation, I am Lucifer, I am commanding the sphere from Lucifer, so it opens for me, it empowers me, it streamlines to me. And that as you open that astral gate, right? So you could say that we invoke Lucifer, or we bring that being into us. If you're choosing to invoke and do it this way, you can also evoke and just have Lucifer with you. But I recommend that you bring him within you, and then once you bring him within you and you do the invocation, right? He's going to start guiding you through your mind, through how you perceive things mentally. So you're actually going to start, as you go into ritual, your ego will start to dissolve, and this is actually what ritual's for. So when I'd go into ritual, I'd stop thinking like my normal self, and I'd go more into my daemon. um I'd go more into understanding myself, or more into like the deeper part of my psyche. So in that moment I had sorry, there's someone doing fucking microwave. In that moment I had Lucifer twin possession with me and in my head, and from that he's telling me what to do, he's influencing me. So I can open that sphere through his influence and him showing me and helping me to understand what to do. If it's the first one, it's Nama and Lilith, so I'm talking to them and asking them what I should do. You're communing with the different beings in your ritual space, or you're communing with the different beings of the different spheres. You work with them to understand that sphere, to understand them, use them to understand that sphere, and then from that sphere, use that sphere and its energies to understand yourself. And the more that you start to go above, you start to go up the tree, you actually start to see the benefits of each sphere and what was happening. And it isn't so until you're more out of the experience that you actually understand it for what it is. So now, as you're sitting there, you have Lucifer invoked, right? He's communing with you, talking to you. Maybe it's Lilith. What you're going to start to do now is invoke that sphere, right? By invoking it, bringing it into the triangle, you're now opening it to manifest. You're now opening it and allowing its energies to fill the room, but fill the triangle of manifestation. And as you condense those energies, what you can do is you now direct that energy. So if you have a wand, right, you consume that energy and then you place it within a sphere, if you have a crystal sphere. But you can even say you place that energy, you start to just work with it there. You start to invoke it as well through Lucifer. You invoke these energies, you sit with these energies. What they'll start to do is attune you. As it starts to attune you, in a sense, hitting you with that alchemy of that sphere, this is when you start to go through trials and initiations. You can look at each sphere as just a different dimension on its own that is out there, and through that symbol, through that energy, we are activating or awakening that astral gate, going to it. So astral projecting to it, and then as we're astral projected in there, what it's going to start to do is feed off our energies. My bad. It's going to start to influence our energies, and this influence is what creates alchemical transmutations, which you can take, and then this is what the trial is. You're going about your day with these energies, depending on where it was, such as when I was working with Lilith, I was getting heavy dreams in my initiations. Was I getting dreams before this? Not as many as I could recall, but the initiations amplified it. And depending on what sphere you're in, that's what's being amplified in your life. So it's pretty much, it's like like we live in a simulation, a video game. We're all experiencing the same simulation, but what we can do is call different planets, different spheres, different energies to influence our reality, similar to astrology or numerology, using numbers, and archetypes to influence our reality. It's the same with these spheres, with this way of magic. Planetary magic when we think about it at its core and the way you work with it, is no different than sphere magic, right? So take what you know about planetary magic, what you've learned in the Sephiroth, and take that into the Qliphoth and apply that to spheres, or within the Sephiroth, apply that to spheres. Working with planets is the exact same way. It's invoking the planet, invoking the sphere. You're using the deity to help guide and empower you, in a sense, a psychopomp. The psychopomp's leading you through the underworld. So take the advice of your deities, of Lucifer, Lilith, Belial, Hecate, Hecate is a beautiful spirit to work with. I recommend, honestly, everyone work with Hecate. She will help you along your journeys, as well as she's what created Lucifer, from what we know in Primal Craft. So that, yeah, as you have the triangle, you're sitting in your circle, it's that astral influence, that what has happened there, right? That you're not doing this physically, you don't see beings physically, but astrally they come to you and you work with it in that invocation and that ritual, and then you start to, you could say, work with those energies more and more, and then at some point it will the energy will subside, and this is how you know that you're meant to shift to the next sphere. And actually, I believe, or the last video I had is talking about that. So pretty much this is the next video in a series. I'm gonna keep talking about my experiences in the Qliphoth as well as the Sephiroth, and uploading videos. So I hope you guys have a beautiful day. This is OccultCatTv, teaching you all I can about the Sephiroth, Qliphoth, magic, how to work with demons, shamanism, witchcraft, and just understanding a greater reality and becoming your greatest version. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Thank you.